believe that if you cannot efficiently meet the reader's expectations in the next edition with a sensational conclusion or some sort of revealing ultimate truth, otherwise you may need to consider a new pseudonym or perhaps a change of subject beyond the Flying Isles, or more simply, give up the job altogether. I sincerely hope you consider our advice above. 'Tis another day. Excuse the vocals. This lady has just left her coffin. Let's keep going. Stage 5. The protagonists. The ghosts clump together anxiously in the dim room. Marcus sits up in bed after a struggle, the harrowing words in those letters still writhing through her. All coming together in a catastrophic clash of anxiety, dread, and helplessness. The nearby voices grow louder, dragging her out from one kind of havoc to the next. I'm dreadfully sorry, lass. But let's get on to righting the ship. We cannot bilge the water if we don't find the holes. It's evident to me that our failure must be laid on Mr. Thomas. It's very clear it was his far-fetched tale that set your readers off.
Everyone?
I cannot imagine anyone wasting their precious time reading something so bizarre and fanciful, the likes of which will surely have spoiled, I'm guessing, many an afternoon tea. He crosses his arms, turning with a vexed expression to his compatriot.
No.
Oh, it was my part, eh? Aaron, I thought the captain goes down with the ship.
In fact...
Didn't you hear what the wee miss had to say? Her readers want positivity and progress, not ancient prattle. It was your bit that steered us onto the rocks. Those yarns of yours were so long that they'd narrow fit in my granny's attic. Miss Marcus's readers probably nodded off halfway through. Oh, aye, whine all you like. What do you know of storytelling, eh? I'll bet you didn't even know your Shakespeare from your Shelley. James' transparent face turns red with anger, his mustache bristling. Stop, please, both of you.
Sirs!
Please calm down, gentlemen. Let's hear what Donald has to say. I can't really make big changes to my voice because when I wake up there's only one tone, so apologies for that.
Sorry.
Well, I don't mean to speak out of turn, but lying is a worse sin, so speak I must. I reckon it was both of your stories that did this. I thought he was going to say it's actually me, but yeah, it's both of your faults. Captain, your story was nothing more than a chance for you to show off. It distorted the truth, even when it went against what Thomas described.
But...
I think that our story, Miss Marcus's work, it should have focused on the mysteries of the Flannan Isles themselves.
That's right.
Well said, Donald. And you...
But...
Thomas, your story had just as many mistakes, just of a different sort. You did exactly what Miss Marcus's readers said they hated. You gave her a story with mysteries, but no ending. How could anyone be happy with that? I just said what I knew, nothing more. No lies, no reservations. 12 years and more we've been on this island, still you both know nothing about this place, about anything. And you didn't have at least the wits to trust someone with experience.
Marcus.
Actually, Miss Marcus, I'm afraid, well, maybe this isn't our fault entirely either. Yeah, put it on her. She's been looking for the answers to the mysteries herself. Did she ever find a solution? No. You're the ones who died there. You should be the ones to know. You're blaming me? Well, blame? No. Only you were the one who wrote down our stories. We're not writers, miss. We don't know what bits are important or how to finish the story. Maybe your readers are angry for a good reason. Angry they are for a good reason, but you're the ones who gave half-assed stories to her, so... Maybe you should have based the edition on what I said about the 7 Holy Isles and the Pygmies. Then you could have given them a proper investigation, something to really talk about. So now we see Donald. If only we had listened to you, eh? Not so noble now, eh? Face it, lad, that story of yours was weaker than watered-down whiskey.
Great.
Almost as right, laddie. Though only in as such as they said about broken clocks. The truth of the matter is clear, lads. The wee miss should have only used my story. I swear if this keep going, I'm exercising them.
Excuse me.
Oh, aye. And what makes you say that?
No, it's not right.
Please stop. The spirited voices of their heated quarrel engulf the entire room. In her despair, Marcus begins to question himself. What exactly did this story of mine turn into a catastrophe? Was it when the deluge of angry letters arrived? Was it when I submitted the revised manuscript? Or was it when I hesitated to choose between the stories?
Can I do it?
Maybe I'm not truly cut out for this job. When I began writing, I wanted to record everything, every piece of knowledge, especially those lesser-known facts, things that might be lost in time, that might go silent if I wasn't there. Stories that could be exquisite, delicate, captivating, or at least relatable.
But
What has all that work brought me? As Marcus closes her eyes, agonizing memories flash over the theater of her mind mercilessly. The dream seems to be pulling further and further away from her. I dreamed that my work would help humankind understand and accept Arcanum. But now, my column has been bashed by once loyal readers. They even stormed the Daydream Post. Poor Miss Dennehy must have lost a chance at the Editor of the Year award.
perhaps...
Oh, what if this leads the entire community to distrust any future writing related to Arcanum? Or worse, those who still read them might become labeled as occultists or lunatics. You're going a little bit too far, but I get the overthinking. Then human society's discrimination against Arcanists might grow even more severe, not just in the Flannan Isles, no, maybe against the entire Arcanist world, and I will be the catalyst whose horrible writing divided our two races even further.
It's all my fault.
Marcus covers her face with her palms, but no amount of self-pity can drown out the squabbling spirits. I only hope to alleviate their loneliness by reading this island and documenting its stories. I just wanted to share them with the world.
Why?
But now this ghostly gentleman, protagonists in my latest disaster, are tearing into one another before my eyes. My writing didn't bring them happiness. It intensified their misfortune.
No.
But all I wanted to do was tell a fascinating story. To be fair, that is my fear too. One of my fears. Because my writing has very controversial topics that I wish to write in order to help, I suppose. I mean, yeah, sure, I want to write the story for itself, like without message, but I also hope that perhaps this message would make a specific type of people feel better about themselves and go out searching for the dreams and all. But there is always this fear in the back of my head that I've actually not portrayed that message well enough, and that instead of bringing them together, they might actually trigger them. I believe every writer that chooses to put a message in their work, they're afraid that their story is going to be lost behind hatred over the message, and perhaps sometimes think of, hey, maybe I shouldn't put a message at all just to be sure that people just take it for what it is, for face value. But this is very true to real life. So when this happens, you can't help but wonder, even if I had good intentions, did I do the right thing? She lets out a loud cry from her corner, hoping to silence the continual bickering, even for a moment. To her surprise, the argument stops indeed. Did that actually work?
Hey!
Oi, pick yourself up, Marcus. Someone's at the door. The girl comes back to her senses, pulling herself to the door by will alone. A figure, at once familiar and strange, stands before her.
Good to see you, Miss Marcus.
My name is Hoffman, and I've come a long way to see you. I'm standing here a bit agape because I didn't expect Hoffman to come to her door. I expected that she would go with the foundation, and while being trained, she'd meet Hoffman, and Hoffman would think, this girl is actually talented, please give her more opportunities, and I'm taking the responsibility of everything she does from now on so that she guides her and become her mentor. But she came to her door, actually. Like, my whole theory of how these two met and how the relationship was built is going off the window. Oh, I'm curious now how this progresses. Was she reading the Flannan Isles column of hers and thought, what you do is very interesting? I wonder also if, because Marcus was speaking of Arcanum in her stories, if she had told people that she can actually read things, that this is her power, or if she generally spoke about how Arcanum interacted with the atmosphere of the Isles, and that perhaps the ghosts are there still because of Arcanum, or if she mentioned that I saw these things through Arcanum. We'll see. Stage 6, Preface. The figure of a woman dressed in a long coat walks ahead at a steady pace, followed by the nervous young lady.
Excuse me?
Are you from the Foundation?
Yes.
It seems I will be able to skip my introduction. Hoffman nods, seemingly ignoring or neglecting the panic in Marcus's tone.
Sorry.
I'm so sorry for having made you come all this way. I will respond to the Foundation as soon as possible. I promise. Hoffman halts her steps and turns around. Her puzzled gaze accurately catches Marcus's evasive eyes.
Mm-hmm.
The Foundation's application has been approved by the local government. From today onward, a small portion of this archipelago will be set aside for your use as an experimentation site. Experiments?
Yes.
For an upcoming observation project jointly operated between the Foundation and Laplace. It involves a new artist theory. Am I not supposed to know about this? Marcus takes a few steps back with a flinch.
No problem.
No, it's not confidential. Laplace does not intend to keep its work here a secret. Observation project. Laplace. Emerging Arcanus theory.
I got it!
Oh, I think I've read about this before. The study of ley lines?
Yes.
Correct. Laplace published the theory in their second edition of the Frontier of Times journal. Just some basic introductions, of course, nothing monumental. Hoffman nods, nonplussed by Marcus's breadth of reading. The Foundation will be responsible for this project's application procedures and field confirmation. Of course, we'll aim to minimize any impacts on the natural surroundings as much as possible. She turns around to look at the solitary tower perched on the cliff. Should you, or they, have any concerns, please contact our Alien Sire branch for further assistance. So, you're not here about my investigation? My sole task here is to survey the Flannan Isles. I've no time nor inclination to meddle in the affairs of some unregistered arcanist. The lingering spectre of the other investigator finally fades from her mind.
Of course.
My visit is not part of any assigned mission. I see.
This is out of my own interest, as a reader.
Oh, I see. She was reading her column, and she wanted to come investigate herself because I suppose Marcus was bringing it around and around and finding no answers.
What?
See, somebody liked your writing. You read my column?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, from the first edition to the very latest. I must say they have been very informative. The horrifying letters from before seem to have grown wings, ready to swarm Marcus once more. She bows her head as if awaiting the imminent drop of a guillotine. Out of curiosity, I went through the trouble of finding some of your earlier works. You have covered a wide range of topics in great detail. Unfortunately, it seemed the space provided to you by your magazine has been Till now, quite limited. Oh, those... They weren't much. Just a few jottings, really. I thought nobody remembered them. Though her body feels stiff, Marcus forces out an awkward smile. Arcanum and Lighthouse lens maintenance. Do you remember this article? That was my first submission after arriving the flight on Isles from Romania. Hoffman nods, indifferent to the nearly overwhelming blush on Marcus's cheeks. The way you relate the specifics of lighthouse keeping with such great enthusiasm, it was as if you felt it had something to offer to every reader. The internal structure, differences in lighthouse design of various locales, the evolution of light sources and advancements in lamp maintenance, even the ideal number of lighthouse keepers.
Frankly,
I found it perhaps a little overwrought, but still undoubtedly worth reading. Huh?
well, if...
Dear friends, imagine a flame that requires no fuel, image extinguishing no matter in cold wind or heavy rain, and shines bright enough to illuminate the sea even through the thickest of fog. Might we then be able to save nearly a century's worth of gas or electricity expenses and redirect those funds to more pressing matters? As it happens, on a small island surrounded by warm waters, there exist just such fiery critters. Those docile and nocturnal creatures could well be suitable for use as endlessly reproducible light sources. There were many more descriptions like this. I'm surprised you remember them so well, Madam Hoffman.
Miss Marcus.
You must understand one thing. Though discrimination against Arcanists has become less severe in our era, it remains for most humans an ingrained habit, one that won't change overnight.
Why are you still trying to introduce Arcanum to the human world you're not familiar with?
Marcus falls silent for a while, her previous blush turning into a cold sweat. Her unspoken thoughts, aspirations, as a right and her inner struggles, it felt as though Miss Hoffman saw through them all. Yet, feeling as though she had been spared the headman's axe for today at least, she raised her eyes upwards. I suppose that's a valid question. Perhaps I'm too naive.
In fact,
For me, I've always seen the world as just a kind puzzle book, perplexing riddles, obscure words, and bewildering images, when I was happy to keep at a distance, even if it had many pleasant aspects. Human science, progressive ideologies, arcanist sports, various newly discovered critters, and many, many more. I wanted to share those things, the pleasant ones. They deserve to be known by more people, whether humans or arcanists. Her voice is trembling yet grows more resolute on each word.
if I keep reading, I'll eventually find the answers to everything. I can introduce human arts and crafts to the arcanists and demystify arcanist fables and legends for the humans. I'll be the bridge between humans and arcanists, helping them understand one another. Oh dear.
Did I say that all out loud? She awkwardly gasps, trying to take in a great puff of the fresh sea air, her face flashing red from ear to ear. Still a gentle but intentional clap of applause follows.
That is a great aspiration, Miss Marcus.
The Foundation has been working toward the very same goal. Thank you for your kind words, Madam Hoffman. Yes, the catastrophe clashes through her mind once more, plunging her back into cold reality.
In fact,
Only, it seems my writing has done nothing but push me further from my goal. Not only have I failed to demystify Arcanum, I failed my publisher's expectation and my readers. I couldn't even write a serviceable story. Ah, do you mean this edition? Hoffman produces a folded magazine. The images of the Flying Isles on it coldly clutch at Marcus's heart. You didn't throw it away?
You underestimate yourself, Miss Marcus. The story isn't as hopeless as you think.
I don't quite understand what you mean. Her breath quickens. Madam Hoffman, are you saying that I might still be able to turn the story around?
The readers.
Humans often read things differently from arcanists. What arcanists consider perspicuous may, on the contrary, read as unfathomable to humans. Compared to the wild, divergent way of thinking of arcanists, humans are more inclined towards concrete conclusions, backed by hard evidence. To arrive in here, quickly grasp the gap in thinking between yourself and human readers of history of the Flannan Isles. To begin with, just how many people do you think are aware of the existence of ghosts? Marcus stops in place as she goes over Hoffman's unexpectedly stunning question. Well, I understand the story of the Brown Lady of Rainham Hall is widespread. Many people have tried to find her. Meanwhile, the ghosts of the Graham Mansion are probably only known to the Scottish people. The White Lady is quite famous in Germany, but people mostly tell her stories to scare children.
Good.
Ah, so now you see it, don't you, Miss Marcus? History of the Flannan Isles is published in the Daydream Post's historical column. For most of its audience, the existence of ghosts is beyond far-fetched. For you to adapt the stories of three ghosts without ever taking the time to explain the ghosts themselves to your readers, well, is it any wonder so many doubted you?
The readers.
Your readers couldn't see and understand your ghost friends as you do, nor could they have realized his shorts were nearly as equally about the truth of the Flannan Isles as anyone else.
The readers followed the ghosts throughout the story, but never got to know them. They also couldn't fully understand the parts on Arcanum. The readers didn't feel engaged.
Hoffman puts away the magazine. You're right. I kept saying that I wanted humans and arcanists to understand one another, that I wanted to bring readers a more profound experience, but in doing so, I overlooked the obvious. How did I let this happen? A strong sense of regret surges up to her throat involuntarily. Humans are often unable to sense the subtle folds in emotions. They're confined by their rational senses. On the other hand, arcanists can just as easily be trapped by their emotions, overlooking the obvious, as you say. So,
Don't blame yourself for this.
a touch of warmth reaches Marcus's shoulder. Marcus lifts her head blankly, not yet realizing that Hoffman picked up her pen from the ground.
As an arcanist, you can read the intricacies of the world that others would easily miss, but that is also the problem. Human readers are more used to sifting through clues and details to make logical sense of the story. They also like to simplify things and draw a single conclusion. I think.
If you would permit me to offer some editorial advice to your history of the Flannan Isles, I have a suggestion.
What?
Please tell me.
You need to find some answers of your own.
Conclusions of my own? I think you yourself do not yet know all the mysteries of the Flannan Isles, but do you believe you can unravel all the truths about this place? No, I don't think I can. Perhaps creating this column was a mistake after all.
No.
Miss Marcus, not knowing the truth is nothing at all to be ashamed of. Rationality drives us to understand reality as we see it. Curiosity aids us in searching for the puzzles yet to be solved. Both of them must be the fuels that power your writing. I thought a writer should be absolutely certain about everything they write. No, This is another big topic in the writing world. You don't always have to write what you know. You can always research. You can always take your time to observe, investigate whatever you're writing. You don't have to know everything. If my readers want conclusions, how could they accept that there's puzzles that even I cannot solve? I think they will, if you offer them the chance. They will understand your confusion and curiosity, as well as your passion for trying to unravel these mysteries. Whether you find the truth or not, it is the journey that keeps us engaged. What they need is an exhilarating experience from the perspective of an arcanist. Exactly. It was her editor that was being stupid by saying they want the answers to how the ghost died and this solving the mystery. Sometimes it's the journey that gets readers engaged, especially in her case, that she had all this lively descriptions of everything. People liked that. Obviously, they would want answers in the end because humans are humans. Their curiosity is killing them. Like, get to the point. But even when she got to the point, they were disappointed because they didn't believe in ghosts.
Can I do it?
Spark the curiosity with puzzles I've still left unsolved? Do you think my story could really do that? Can I really inspire them to seek the truth themselves? I mean, you brought her here, you obviously can.
Maybe
Perhaps. To seek the truth is a long journey, but still.
when we bravely admit that truth doesn't always exist, we find another truth, and this courage deserves respect.
The sun isn't any brighter than usual, nestled under the blanket of cloudy sea air, but its dazzling warmth still seems to scorch her for the first time in a long time.
Madam Hoffman?
Didn't stay long. But she left behind the journal filled with her comments and suggestions, and an address as concise as she was, to a nameless small island near the Flyland Isles, where Madam Hoffman said she will continue her work for a few weeks before returning to the Foundation. She also spoke with me about joining the Foundation before she left.
But...
For the time being, I still felt I had more pressing matters to attend to. I picked up my pen and carriage again to face up my catastrophe and overcome it. I took Madam Hoffman's advice to heart. My writing was no longer crammed with every detail until I began to scribble in the margins and between the rows. This revision was, quite frankly, an extensive overhaul. The gentleman ghost voiced some over-eager protest despite my repeated apologies. But Madam Hoffman's comments and suggestions instilled a great courage in me. And finally, I completed it. Man, this one is going to make me sadder about Hoffman's potential death. No, I still haven't done the last part to the main story because I've yet to defeat Isolde. A couple of people suggested me what I could do. I just haven't got to fighting her again after the first time that I failed. But anywho, yeah, I can see that Hoffman is going to die. And while it saddens me, I'm not very teary-eyed, devastated kind of sad. I am normally sad, I suppose. But this story and her approach and seeing Hoffman's more affectionate side is going to destroy me when I finally get to the final part of the main story. Not that means that I disliked Hoffman in any way in the main story. I just hadn't felt their bond that deeply. I could see how important she was for Marcus, and like I said in the main story parts, if you've watched them, I consider her a parental figure that Marcus never had. Yeah, it still didn't get so much into me so that one of them being gone would have me in actual tears. I was more moved, I suppose, by Marcus's reaction to Hoffman dying than Hoffman's death in itself, because I have managed to relate more to Marcus than to Hoffman or their relationship, if that makes sense. Anyway, moving on. Award speech. Oh, won't you look at that? Somebody got an award. The lighthouse illuminates its surroundings, faithful and steady as always. The waves lash against the rocky shore, and the three ghostly gentlemen are in the midst of a merry uproar. A soothing sea breeze brushes past Marcus, like a long-lost friend. Everything before her is familiar yet surreal.
Sirs!
So, gentlemen, have you stopped arguing?
Hey!
Look who's here, mates! And the last is sight for dead eyes. The three surround Marcus with a delicate kindness, as if encircling the flower that has finally bloomed. We thought you might not want to be friends with us after all our arguing.
Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. It was only that it took a little extra time for me to prepare the new edition for my history on the Flyland Isles. But at last, I finally completed my final draft and sent it along Miss Dennehy. Hopefully, I haven't made her wait too long as well. A pair of transparent hands gently pat Marcus's shoulder.
Marcus.
We know what you've been through, lassie. Without your perseverance and talent, winning back those readers would have been impossible. And a far more courage than a sailor betting the last of his pay in Monte Carlo. But you did it, lass. Aye, and some fine work if I had to say so myself. Stop it now, Captain. You're flattering me. She shrinks her neck with embarrassment.
That's right.
No, not at all, Miss Marcus. It's just as the blowhard said for once. Dinna gone to collect the post yet, have you? Since your edition made the papers already, and the postman brought the replies. And they're the good letters this time. Nothing terrible about them. We checked. Marcus opens one of the readers' letters. I feel so honored to write you this letter as a now humbled fan of your history of the Flannan Isles. Oh, should I call it to the archipelago now? Your courage is more than admirable. Who could have thought you'd be brave enough to make such an extensive revision? Let me express my warmest congratulations, for now that I see your work for what it truly is, I'm so pleased to have experienced such an unforgettable fantasy tale. Fantasy? Suppressing her fleeting doubt, she continues reading the letter. Thanks to you and this ghost gentleman you've invented, all of us following along get to experience a little piece of the world just as you imagined. Yours faithfully, a reader eagerly awaiting the next edition. Now that's a bit awkward. So, with Hoffman's help, now people view her story as a fantastical one in a history column? It doesn't make sense. I mean, okay, it took down the uproar, but I don't know how satisfied she will be with her story taken as fantasy because humans can fathom the existence of ghosts. Marcus feels at once a sense of loss, something she tries to suppress rather than let it eat at her. There are a mess more of these letters. Oh, including one from the Daydream Post. Dear Miss Marcus, we are more than delighted to share with you that, thanks to your newly updated to the Archipelago series, the Daydream Post has seen a tremendous rise in sales. What's more, we've even received a request to change the serialization schedule. They want at least 2 editions per week. After discussion, the publishing house decided to provide you with an entire new section. We call it the Tall Lighthouse. Our sincerest regards to you and your ghostly friends. Praise pours out from one letter after another, overwhelming Marcus's humility until she feels faint. Staggering, she retreats into the sanctuary of her room. The excitement conveyed in the editor's letter still lingers as a vivid image in Marcus's mind, yet she remains more than a little perplexed.
What?
Did they choose to move to the archipelago from the documentary literature section? Unsure about the publisher's decision, she continues writing. As new manuscripts are sent out, enthusiastic readers' letters are delivered to the island one after the other. This is what I call perfect representation of literary fiction. The tale of this investigative columnist's friendship with these 3 ghosts brought tears to my eyes. To dive into the surreal world of mysteries has become a pastime of mine during each and every afternoon tea. Creative writing has truly brought a smile to my face. I envy the talents of this comical ghost. Your imaginative arcanist way of writing is, I must say, a refreshing break from the humdrum of human reporting. I look forward to reading more as soon as you can conjure it up. I personally believe this series deserves the title of Fantasy Story of the Year nominee, and if it doesn't meet the award criteria, we should create a new award for it, something like Arcanist Fiction of the Year. Yeah, because if you think about it, she shares something that she sees as an arcanist, and humans still refuse to understand it and picture it as fiction. It's like saying that your world is fake. It doesn't make sense, so it's fake. You're just a person with a lot of imagination, you know? It's not the best of compliment one can get about, trying to share a personal experience. All these letters are brimming with effervescent praise, but all with the same monotonous implication. Overwhelmed by the return of her anxiety, Marcus snaps her pen against the paper. As she plunges her deeper into the black fog, a familiar voice jolts her back to reality.
Marcus.
Hello, Miss Marcus. Something on your mind, lass? Seems like you've been out to the sea with no paddle, a wee bit more than usual lately. Bidding for a vacation, maybe? You're not turning into a ghost like us, are you?
You fool.
Balderdash! She's not paying for the fjords, I'm guessing, nor has she passed on. Our way rider is only a trifle tired from all her hard work. As usual, you've no respect for matters of the mind. He casually strokes his mustache, taking pride in Marcus, and by some extension, himself.
Great.
Miss Marcus, dare I say you've been a veritable star as late? Even I'm curious about the ventures I'll embark on next.
Marcus.
Marcus, do you think you'll keep writing about this island, about us? This question, innocent as it is, breaks a spell that had too long lingered over her, as if waking her up from a stupor. Will I keep writing? I hope to garner more readers with elaborate stories that have more twists and turns. I hope to make more humans understand and accept Arcanus. I hope that one day humans and Arcanus could set aside the differences and join hands to uncover the ultimate truth. I hope to record and represent all the truths I've read to the readers. Even more so, I hope to be able to explore the mysteries of the Flying Isles with them. But what is it that they want? Convoluted mystery plots, wild imaginations plucked straight from the realm of fantasy, and everyone lived happily ever after ending. Marcus looks up in a daze, evading the expectant eyes around her. The sky above is unusually clear, but that doesn't seem to faze her. To the archipelago has achieved significant success. So, why can I find joy in the praise? Because your goals aren't meant. This wasn't your goal. Let me tell you something, guys. When I was applying for universities in Europe, or UK specifically, I didn't go to all over Europe, I got accepted by 2 out of the 3 I applied for. And one of them, even though they accepted my application, they said I wouldn't be fit for the filmmaking part of the school, but the animation part. So let me tell you, while I'm happy I got into a university of my choice, I wasn't happy I got to a different department than the one I wanted. So obviously I wouldn't go to that school. So in the same manner, Marcus here did want her writing to be a success. She did want to speak about the Flying Isles and get everybody invested into the whole place and the mysteries that it had. But she wanted people to take it as a documentary. And she wanted people to see the reality through an Arcanus mind, not take it as a fictional thing. So obviously, it makes so much sense that she's not satisfied. And now I know that she's going to be hard on herself even more until she accepts that this is how things are. That she cannot make people understand that the Arcanus world is not a fictional thing, and that these things that are fictional to humans are everyday occurrences for them, for Arcanus. The self-questioning abruptly stops, the obvious answer lingers, crawling back from her tongue. To the archipelago is nothing but a well-crafted fiction, a broken puzzle. The people reading it don't care about the truth, nor the real arcanum behind it. So how could this be bringing me closer to my dream? The series was inspired by the first-hand experiences of my dear friends. Without their memories, the stories, I could never have written these tall tales. Of course, I know my writing skills contributed a little to this unprecedented acclaim, but only so much.
Madame Hoffman?
But it was Madame Hoffman and her invaluable comments that led to the changes that made to the archipelago a success. I can't take an ounce of credit for all of these. Even if I were to explore every inch of the archipelago and unravel all its mysteries, the readers might only see it as the inevitable conclusion to an entertaining fantasy. Is the answer to my dream something I can find in the small archipelago? The whistle seems to faintly echo in Marcus's mind. The steam whistle grows louder, overwhelming her eardrums with its piercing cry. Like a sound emerging from the depths of her heart, a distant call from a grander stage. That's a steam whistle! A ship! Madame Hoffman! The whistle continues to sound nearby as a still familiar checkered pattern is raised. The final draft is in my room, James. Would you please send it to the care of Miss Dennehy for me? I entrust this mission to you, Captain. Thanks. She runs towards Hoffman without looking back, leaving her puzzled phantom friends behind. Miss Marcus, you're off out of steam. Just where are you off to now? Farewell, Captain James. Farewell, Donald. Farewell, Thomas. The trapped young lady finally takes a leap forward. She does not look back. Carried by the sea wind, the letters, the manuscript splatter in the air as if waving Marcus farewell. Please wait, Madam Hoffman. The Foundation ship begins to loom larger in Marcus's view. The surprised figure aboard becomes clear to see.
Madam Hoffman, I want to join the Foundation. Perhaps.
That was probably the first decision I ever really made on my own.
Why?
Why did it suddenly come to mind? It was long time ago. As her vision clears, the overturned chairs and collapsed curtains around her hint at the ultimate conclusion of the current play. Why did I choose that path then?
What have I really achieved?
Goodness gracious, that last part was so relatable, like something I would do presented with a chance, like throw everything away and run towards that reach for salvation. I think that she chose to go with her because Hoffman did tell her that, we do the same thing in the Foundation. The thing you want to do, we're doing it at the Foundation. So it's easier for her dream to become realized if she did that than sit there and try to change the minds of so many people about the world she sees on the island. Stage 8, The Young Investigator. Marcus is like a book swept out to sea, floating directionless through the dead of night. Familiar pages flash rapidly through her mind. Echoes of the past ring in yet again in the present. I remember now. I wanted to make a choice of my own. So I joined the Foundation. I learned of the storm. I bade farewell to my era and my old dream. A choice of my own. But did I really make one at all? The sudden agony almost tears the entire book apart. The spine of a book trembles as it struggles to turn a new page. Yes, I made my choice. Now see where it's led me. I've ruined everything. Lady Isolde held a grand exhibition where she made that speech.
I wish for the Arcanists to unite and establish an independent kingdom of freedom, free from repression and oppression.
It's all my fault.
If only I hadn't violated the confidentiality agreement, she wouldn't have made that dangerous speech. What I did not only fail to help the Arcanists, but worse still, it intensified the divide between us and humans. Lady Isolde and many other innocent Arcanists deceived by Manus Vindictae shouldn't have fallen to such a predicament. Political assassinations, ethnic conflicts, and civil turmoil have erupted all over the world. History has been altered. The storm was formed.
No.
I shouldn't have. I should have never called out to Madame Hoffman that day. I should have stayed on the Flannan Isles. Madame Hoffman? Then comes to clear a more suffocating page.
No! Madam Hoffman!
Don't cry, Marcus. I know what I'm doing. The future is yours.
No!
This page seems agonizingly long.
What have I really achieved?
Images bristling with pain and regret ruthlessly intertwine in Marcus's frantic thoughts. Back on the island, I couldn't even stop my friends from fighting. How could I have thought I would be the one to change humanity's discrimination towards Arcanists? After I made just that one choice, to join the Foundation, every choice afterward only seemed to magnify the numbers of people I hurt, even Madame Hoffman. I never once managed to live up to my aspirations. Could it be that The cold abyss stretches out before her, reality naked of any illusions.
I've never left the Flennon Isles.
The active cells within her body finally find an outlet amidst the surging pain. A strange scent invades the air, blurring Marcus's vision.
Marcus.
How did you end up here?
What?
Oh, poor lassie. You look miserable. What sort of trouble have you been in?
Hey!
Don't worry, mate. We've always been here for you, always ready to lend you a hand. The phantoms, as ever before, gather around her with great enthusiasm. James, Donald, Thomas. Her long-suppressed emotions finally breach the confines, finding a soothing haven on the windless island. Aren't you disappointed in me? On the Flannan Isles, I tried to tell you a story, but everyone only saw it as fiction. You praised its plot and suspense, but none of the credit really belonged to me. I failed to unravel the mysteries, and I failed to help people understand Arcanum. My so-called dream was nothing more than an excuse to run from reality. I had run, tail tucked, to the Foundation, and then to Vienna. In the end, it feels as though I've accomplished nothing. Couldn't help Madame Hoffman stop Manus Vindicte. I couldn't find incantation that might grant immunity from the storm. I only ruin everything. Yet the bitter chill of remorse fails to tear her down. For her loyal friends' warmth, even through the veil of death, can illuminate the darkest nights like a refuge on the dark seas.
Marcus.
Lass, we don't know what kind of trouble you're facing now, but things are rarely as bad as you fear them to be. Take that on aged wisdom. We're all proud of you.
Why?
But I didn't do anything helpful for you.
In fact...
Right, now what have you slandering a friend of mine like that, eh? Oh, did you forget who wrote those wonderful stories that make people remember the Flannan Isles and us forever?
Great.
I may well have been the cleverest thing I've heard you say yet.
But...
I didn't even uncover the truth behind your deaths. I failed you all. Her head hangs low, with an irrepressible shake launching her forward and back. Hehe. A familiar touch of warmth reaches Marcus's shoulder again.
Marcus.
Now don't be so hard on yourself, lass. How can we blame you if we haven't figured that out ourselves? With 1,000 years head start, no less. We've always stayed here all this time, but we've never given up hope. We'll continue to seek out the truth, no matter how long it takes. Remember what Madame Hoffman told you? Whether you find the truth or not, it is the journey that keeps us engaged. Suddenly, she's reminded of that addition. Why was it so loved by her readers? Remember those letters from your readers? So many bright ideas trying to fix the puzzle you set out for them. Nary one go close, eh? Remember the fun we had talking them over? Finding the answer is not what really matters, lass. What matters most is our perseverance, our courage to carry on. Marcus finally lifts her head.
Madame Hoffman?
She understood that lesson all along and tried to pass it on to me. But do I really understand it now? If I were to die today,
Understand?
would I know what I was supposed to do? I think I do now. Standing up, she races forward, just like she did on the island coast that fateful day.
What really scared me was not death, but the possibility of dying ignorant.
Marcus.
Did you hear that? It's some kind of strange noise. She takes a deep breath and opens her eyes.
We can still make this right. Doctor, wait! There might be another way.
Alright. It appears this story was taking us back through everything Marcus went through in the moment before telling Kakania she had a plan. So this is the first side story we have that is neither past nor future, like neither before the main story nor after, but in the moment of the story. During this event in the main story, we only saw Marcus thinking. We didn't know what she thought. And then she suddenly was rid of her insecurities and offering Cacanea an alternative to what they could do before the storm came. On to my thoughts now. I don't know how I feel about this story. I wasn't this amused by what I saw. Like, sure, it made my understanding of Marcus's and Hoffman's relationship a bit deeper. But at the same time, that's all it was. I really expected that Marcus and Hoffman had a little bit of history before they got to Vienna. Obviously, my initial theory of how they met was not right, and I was glad with what I felt was coming through this story, but it was way shorter than I expected. I'm trying to put my thoughts in a row so that it makes sense to you too. So, alright, they didn't initially meet at the Foundation. It wasn't the Foundation that took Marcus in as an orphan. So after being presented with this new reality, I expected that, okay, she became this one person that seemed to understand her way of thinking, and therefore they were supposed to start having some missions together, getting to know each other better. And then based on that, I believed it came to the part where Hoffman said that sort of promoted Marcus to get on the Vienna mission with her. Not promoted, she suggested that she was the best person to come with her in Vienna. And I believe that would have come by after several missions together, or times that perhaps Hoffman was passing some work to Marcus while she was in the office, and after working for a while, even inside the office, not always on missions together, she considered that Marcus was the best person to take with her to Vienna too, regardless of what the Foundation thought on her capabilities as an arcanist. But yeah, it wasn't like that. This is my problem. Like, I was disappointed because I expected this to be deeper. Based on how the relationship was presented to us in the main story, I expected this to be something that spanned longer than, I don't know, a month or two. Maybe it's just me, I don't know. I found this to be a little forced as well. I don't know, compared to other backstories or future stories we've seen that deal with the origins of the characters, the 6 stars and 5 stars, this was underwhelming to me. It wasn't downright bad, it just was underwhelming. I expected more. But I suppose this is the point of this side story, because right now I am being Marcus's audience in the column the first time that they were disappointed that they didn't get answers on the Flannan Isles. They had all this mystery going around them, and the time she was supposed to reveal stuff, she pretty much revealed lackluster stuff. So yeah, you can say I'm being unfair right now, and I'm being exactly the kind of audience this story was teaching you not to be. But I'm not an arcanist, I am a vampire, aka I was once human. So I think it makes sense for me to be expecting answers, or in the least, if answers were not to be given, a deeper connection between Marcus and Hoffman based on what I saw in the main story. Still, I think the character in herself, like Marcus, is, despite the lack of depth I saw in her story, she is a very deep character with many insecurities. And through these small 8 parts, we actually saw the journey of her going from this naive little girl dreaming to change things through her writing between arcanists and humans, to a person that wanted to take action more, because she realized that, writing alone is not going to change people's minds. She had to go out there, get her hands dirty, and that's how you change the world. And the thing that she said in the end that also Hoffman brought up, that she didn't want to die ignorant. So yeah, she is a deep character, just the story didn't reflect the depth of the character in my personal opinion. However, I cannot really be harsh in that situation, because Reverse is a very story-driven game. It has lots of depth, lots of lore. So I expected that in some cases this was going to happen. There are so many characters. There's only so much you can come up with when it comes to backstories. And there's also the thing that they leave messages in everything they do. So I believe that the message of the story was obviously don't give up on your dreams or anything you do anyway. Take risks. Things like you're not alone, some people will understand you, like be the real you, the true weird you, and you can still succeed even if some people don't get you. But I also thought it was important to understand that sometimes it's not about the goal, it's about the journey, which personally I hate as a trope, as a thing in real life, because anything I've ever wanted didn't have a pleasant road. I've never reached any of my big goals and dreams in life, so I'm not enjoying the journey at all. I'm against it. I would be more willing to enjoy the journey on the second part of my dream, like after getting it, actually maintaining it, because part of it would have already been with me, so I wouldn't feel like I'm missing out on it by trying to maintain it as much as I do now, that the longer I take to get to my dreams, the further away it goes. But yeah, that is what I think this story was about. And that aside, we also have the mindset of don't always look for answers. Sometimes it's the search in itself that has the allure of everything. Because, there's this thing in us humans. I believe there are some people who are not faced with that, but most people do have that issue. You know how, especially in anime fan community, gaming fan community, people love to buy merch. I'm one of those people. I like merch and all. Sure, most times I can afford it, but when I want merch and I can afford it, I'm always excited to get it. However, the moment I get said merch, I kind of lose the excitement around it. So while I'm not a fan of the idea of enjoy the journey because it's more fun than getting to the goal, I am very much agreeing with the idea of sometimes you don't need answers and that the search in itself is the fun part. They might sound like the same thing, but they're completely different in my mind, because I enjoy looking up things and browsing also for things to buy. However, I know I've had the experience of both getting answers to a research as well as getting the thing I've been looking to buy, both of those cases. And after I got these things, I was a bit okay, I got them, now what, So yeah, these two things are completely different to me. I stand with the one, I despise the other one. And I believe that's because there's difference in hardship when it comes to that. For example, when you're looking for something to buy, or when you're looking for an answer to a problem you have, usually these things are not life-threatening, or they're not actually impacting your life in such a profound way, like in the case of a dream. When you're chasing a dream, your life is so affected by said journey that you have actual big lows and big highs. So if I was to explain to you why I'm fine with the one and not the other, is probably because the search for an object or an answer to something doesn't threaten my life as much as the journey to an impossible goal. Alright? There is anyone who enjoys the journey when it comes to a difficult goal in life is a masochist in my eyes. I'm sorry. I would much rather have my dream now than having to keep waiting, keep working hard, and just having doors slammed on my face. I don't know. But yeah, all in all, kind of disappointed and expected way more. That's all I had to say on this. What's your opinion on this story? Did you like it? Do you like Marcus also as a character? I personally love Marcus. I just wished for more when it came to her. I don't know. But yeah, let's wrap things up now, shall we? Another story came to an end. We're soon closing in to the new patch as well. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please do consider liking, subscribing, and hitting the notification bell so that you know when the next video is going to be up. I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope every character you pull for comes home before you know it, whether in this game or other games. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye bye!